Chapter 2. Why can't anyone else know? I asked my mother after school when I was 10. Is something wrong with me? Quite the opposite, Star Child. Let me tell you a story. The story of my early career in medicine, she responded as she set dinner down on the table. My stomach grumbled. I had skipped school lunch that day, preferring to deposit it in the waste bin rather than my mouth. Though he tried his hardest, our school chef had little control of his own powers, weak as they were. He claimed he was from Rome, one of the cities that produced the greatest chef power types, and that our meal was chicken parmesan, but neither of those statements held much merit. As I started shoveling food into my mouth, my mother continued to speak, her chair squeaking as she shifted. Before you were born, I was a nurse, specializing in the delivery of children. This was back in the north, near my home. But unless your power has a direct medical property, hospitals fear the effect it can have on children, so I was eventually removed from service. But by that time, I'd seen enough to make me want to leave. Not everyone is lucky enough to have powers, Star Child, but those who are, their power is altered depending on where they were born. Think of it like the seasoning in the meal you are eating. The food holds energy, but with the right spices it can become enhanced. Similarly, a location can make a power pop, and people are willing to pay dearly for the locations. The fee my hospital charged was 3 times my personal salary per child. If there were twins, the couple was stuck with double the bill. And if there were no powers, the bill was still due. This particular hospital was high in the northern mountains, in an area statistically proven to produce the best powers of snow, ice, and weather. If your child had a power, here they would be the strongest. And if they didn't, well, I've heard too many stories of children entering orphanages after the parents wasted a fortune. The name of every child born in our hospital was placed on a list submitted to the police, who tracked them for the next 2 decades. Should a child commit a petty crime and have their name on the list, it was the same as committing a felony, since these children were considered high risk. Unless you were still wealthy, of course. And it was strange. Those names identified as having strong powers but belonging to a lower class, it seemed like they always committed a crime without fail. That the police just happened to be waiting, watching them for when it happened, ready to take them in and send them to rehabilitation camps where they would enter the military or the guard after several years of conditioning, to sacrifice their lives on the front lines. And the more powerful you were, the more likely you were to be classified as a delinquent. So listen to me, Star Child. The hospital I worked at was a level 3 facility out of 5. Level 2s are even more dangerous, and level 1s require a massive fortune to even step in the door. And as you know, having a baby in an unauthorized location is a crime punishable by death. Where you were born, that would be off the scales, a level 0 location. Fortunately, you've been overlooked, but my power can only do so much. They'd use you or kill you as a weapon or as a precaution. And you are destined for neither fate. You were fortunate enough that the space program that employed me ended early, due to solar flare activity. Otherwise, you would already be in the hands of the government. So you listen to me and you tell no one. Do you understand? Yes, I answered, sighing as I finished my plate, and her hand rested heavily upon my shoulder. And that night, when I retired for sleep, I pulled out the first book I had ever stolen from underneath my bed. Opening my palm, I called forth the small black orb from where I had kept it hidden, in a small pocket just above my wrist. Not an actual pocket, but almost like the void under my tongue or behind my ear, a place where it almost felt as if I had turned the space inside out and could reach inside with my pinky. Taking the orb, I unwrapped it slowly, letting the light trapped within escape in a small beam. Over time, it would grow smaller until eventually, with a flash, it would collapse, and I would have to make a new one during the day. A Directory of Known Powers, the book was titled. Capabilities and Locations. Introduction. Little is known about what precisely determines the chance that a child will develop any abilities. Conversely, the factors playing into the type of power innate in a child are well studied and well documented within the pages of this directory. There are many dimensions in which a child's power can be analyzed, but for simplicity, the following shall be mentioned due to their high correlation with observable outcomes: locations, power strength, and power type. Other minor effects include genetics, location and passion of conception, and diet during pregnancy. Environmental factors at the time of birth are also known to play a role in power and development, though less documentation exists to confirm claims. Yawning, I flipped through the pages to the pictures section, where a compilation of artists had depicted powers in use. Some were copies of pictures over 100 years old, documenting powers that had not been seen in so long they were rumored to be myth. Others had so many occurrences that I skipped them, having seen them so often in real life they now bored me. Entry 348, Speaking in Tongues, read the title, while the picture showed a girl surrounded by people of all ethnicities, their ears tilted towards her. Description: a condition in which languages no longer bond speech. Those born with this power have the ability to converse in multiple languages at the same time to multiple audiences. Strength: typically a lower level, measured by number and variety of languages that can be spoken, and whether the power can be extended to the written word. Owners of this power are also susceptible to side effects of silver tongue, see entry 427, and Pied Piper, see entry 201, which can increase the power by an order of magnitude. Location: documented cases occur in hospitals near border regions or in countries with multiple spoken languages. I flipped backwards to an earlier entry and read another, yawning again as I felt sleep coming soon. Entry 56, Diamond Exterior. This picture was of a glinting man, half his skin sparkling, the other half normal flesh. Description: the ability to change portions of the body to rock or diamond, often razor sharp. Strength: typically a medium to high power level. Power is measured by mobility after transformation, as well as ability to change objects outside of their own body. Nearly indestructible and difficult to contain, those with strong abilities of this power are weighted extremely high. Location: documented cases occur in volcanic regions, with high frequencies at magma hospitals, level 1, located just above active Hawaiian volcanoes. Prior to civilization, it is documented that entire islands once held this ability. With a small pop, my reading orb exploded, illuminating my room like a camera flash for a split second before immersing me in darkness. I frowned. I was just getting to the section where hospitals of all levels were listed, but I'd only stored one orb today, as I had used most of mine reading the night before. I lay back on my pillow as I drifted to sleep, dreaming about the academy despite my mother's words, where I could maybe even see some of the rarer powers, where I'd be able to share my secret, just like the other special children. But before I had the chance to apply, when they accepted new admissions entering higher education at age 14, the academy moved.